we will be working on an application called MovR. MovR is an application that allows small personal vehicles such as bikes, skateboards, and scooters to be shared among users. The MovR application has been separated into 4 microservices, including vehicles, which manages the details about vehicles, including their description, location, and battery level. Rides, which manages the details of a ride, including the start time, end time, and a few other things. Users, which manages things like user registration and login. And UI Gateway, which orchestrates user requests between various microservices. The problem we are trying to solve is that our ride service determines whether or not a vehicle is able to be rented. However, when we display our list of vehicles, we need to capture a lot of data from the vehicle service, but we also want to display whether the vehicle is available. Making requests to both the rides and vehicle services will be complicated and potentially brittle. Instead of making synchronous requests to both services, we will use asynchronous events to replicate data from the ride service into the vehicle service. Essentially, when a ride is started or finished, we will inform the vehicle service through these asynchronous events. The vehicle service can then track internally whether or not a vehicle is available. Inside the Exercises MovR Cockroach folder, you will find a run.sh script. If you execute the script, it will start up an instance of CockroachDB in demo mode. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to cd into Exercises MovR and then Cockroach. And once I'm here, you can just see we have 2 scripts. There's the run.sh, and then there is the initdb.sh. So I'm going to start by executing the run.sh. And this will just take a moment, and you'll see we get a bunch of output. Now, we're particularly interested in this line right here that says SQL Unix. So I'm just going to copy the contents of that line, and then I'm actually going to open a new terminal. And now what I'm going to do is, again, just remembering the scripts that are there, I'm interested in that initdb. So I'm going to do initdb.sh. And what this will do is it will actually initialize our database with a bunch of data. So I need that URL that I just copied, and I'm just going to paste it in here as a parameter to this script. And then I'll go ahead and execute that. And so if you go back and you see what it's doing, it's initializing a rides database, it's initializing a vehicles database, a users database, and then it's updating the password for the demo user. So back here in this terminal, we're actually connected as the demo user. However, the password for that is now changed. So if we needed to connect, it would no longer be this demo 23280. It's now going to be MovR. While I'm here, I'll just do a quick show databases, just so that you can see that it did in fact create the MovR rides, MovR users, and MovR vehicles databases. Now, just to be sure that everything did work as I expected, I'm just going to use MovR rides so that I can see what is actually in the database. So now I'm going to do a show tables, and you can see that I've got a single table which is called rides. And then I could do something, for example, like select star from rides, but you see there's nothing in there. And in fact, we can see from the estimated row count that there's nothing there. So that's because we haven't created any rides yet. But if we do a use MovR vehicles, and then we do a show tables, you'll see that we have a vehicles and location history. So for this one, you see that the estimated row count on those is 5. So let's do a select star from vehicles. And you see that we do actually have some vehicles, and we can do a select star from location history. And you'll see that we do actually have some location history. So it looks like our data is populated as we expected. With my database up and running, the next thing we have to do is to execute the actual application. Now, again, the application consists of 4 microservices, so I've set up 4 separate terminals. Now, the first one is in the Exercises MovR UI Gateway folder. And so here, if you look, there is actually a run.sh script, similar to what we had for Cockroach. So I'm just going to execute that. Again, if you want to take a look at it, you can. It's not doing anything particularly interesting. It's just running Maven and executing the microservice. So I'm going to go ahead and run that again in a separate terminal. Then I'm going to go to another terminal. This one is navigated to the users folder. And again, I'm just going to do run.sh. Then I have to do that twice more, once for the rides, so run.sh in the rides folder, and then once more for vehicles. So we'll do run.sh for vehicles. This is going to start compiling all of the various projects and getting them up and running. So we'll take a moment to step away, and we'll come back once everything's up and running. So now that my application is up and running, I can navigate into localhost 36257, and it'll bring me to this login page. Now I'll have to create an account, so I'm going to go to the sign up link here, and I'll just click that. And so I need an email address. So this is actually a fake login page. It doesn't really do anything important. So I can make up a fake email address. So I'm just going to do wade@fakeemail.com. And my name is Wade, and my last name is Waldron, and my phone number is going to be 555-1234. And again, this is all just placeholder stuff. Obviously, a real application would have a proper login screen, but this will do for now. So here, back at the main screen, I can now do wade@fakeemail.com, and I can sign in. And I'm into the application. And you can see my 5 vehicles that I created earlier when I ran that initial setup script. And so I have my 5 vehicles in the database. I can navigate in to have a look at the vehicles. I can also do other things, like I can look at my rides. I haven't created any yet, so there aren't any. I can go in and I can look at my profile and all those types of things. So that's good. I would recommend, if you have this up and running, take some time and explore, see what you can and can't do in the application. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start a ride. So I'm going to click on that first vehicle and I'm going to start a ride. Now, the ride you can see has been started. It's got an ID. And then when I'm finished the ride, I can enter some details here, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to go back to the vehicles page, and I want to note something here. When I go back to the vehicles page, this is the vehicle that I started a ride with. You'll see that it's still available. And the reason that it's still available is because there is no communication happening right now between my ride service and my vehicle service. So when I query the vehicle service to ask for the available vehicles, it doesn't know that this vehicle isn't available. So part of what we're doing in these series of exercises is to actually inform this vehicle's application and the vehicle in it that it's no longer available. So that's what we're trying to actually do. Now, the other thing too is that if I go back into rides and I go to view ride, and then I can finish the ride. So I'm just going to set a longitude of 1, a latitude of 1, and I'll set a battery of, say, 10%, and I will end the ride. Again, this is communicating with the ride service. If we go back and we look at that vehicle again, you'll see that the longitude and latitude hasn't been updated, and the battery level hasn't been updated either. And again, that's because there's no communication right now between the rides and the vehicle service. That's what we need to fix as part of this series of exercises. That brings us to the end of our quick tour through the MovR application. Now we're going to go through a series of exercises where we'll actually start to implement the missing functionality, so that by the time we reach the end of our journey, the application should be working exactly as we expect it to, and there shouldn't be any more of these little finicky bugs that we're seeing right now.